Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Monday, August 7th, 2023. We start with the invocation. Would you please stand and pray with me? Heavenly Father, as we assemble here tonight, we are blessed to be meeting together. We ask for your guidance and blessing on our state and national leaders. Please bless them with a spirit of grace and cooperation as they work through many challenges. Tonight, we're here to do city business. We'll be paying the routine expenses, doing routine approvals of licenses and permits, along with other administrative responsibilities. But in addition, we will hear a presentation from the school, consider revisions of our zoning, initiate work for Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan, confirming tax abatement for Clow Valves expansion, authorizing needed work on the Edmondson Pond and Luminary Lane, and consider a site plan for a large entertainment venue. These are all important considerations for the long-term future of our city. So we ask that you look down on those who have felt you're called to be in attendance. For the council members and staff, please bless us with quiet and considerate attitudes, well thought out deliberations, and ultimately decisions that are best for all concerned. We thank you for those in the audience and watching the broadcasts, the leaders of our businesses and organizations who have the vision and commitment to help our city, the countless volunteers who are motivated to help, and informed citizens who have given us the privilege of their trust and support. Tonight, we assemble to combine the talents that you've given us for the benefit of Oskaloosa. So may the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. Amen.
Amen.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bring it on all through.
Roll call, please.
Allman.
Here.
Burnett.
Here.
Caligari.
Here.
Comfort.
Here.
Dross.
Here.
Hermson.
Here.
Ocean.
Here.
Okay. First item up is the opportunity for community comments. This is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included on the current agenda. The community is encouraged to speak before the mayor and city council, asked to keep statements brief, time limited to no more than 3 minutes. If there are any questions to be asked of the city staff, the council members, or the mayor, we ask that you do that prior to speaking to the full council, so concerns can be properly researched and perhaps answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. In essence, what do you want us to know?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Diane Perkin Johnson. I live at 1814 South 7th Street. I'm an attorney in Oskaloosa. I'm not here for that tonight. Tonight I'm here as a director and owner of Musco. Musco's been a part of my family for nearly my entire life. I don't remember a time when Musco and Oskaloosa weren't high priorities for me or a big part of my life. Tonight I want to offer my thanks to the city of Oskaloosa and to all of the leadership here. A thank you for providing a community that offers the services and amenities necessary to allow a team like Musco to grow locally. Thank you. With last week's announcement, Musco is excited to commit to a long-term growth in Oskaloosa. A goal of growing the next 50 years beyond at least as big as the last 50 years. Musco's current leadership, our founders Joe Crookham and Myron Gordon, along with our president and CEO Jeff Rogers, are excited to commit to this community for a very long time to come. They've built an outstanding team of people. The ability to give this team the confidence that they will be here for a long time is important to that team. Over 50 years ago, G&L Industries, the founding company that became Musco, started in Oskaloosa. At that time, there were 2 part-time employees. 50 years later, Musco employs more than 700 people in Oskaloosa. Those 700 people buy homes, send their children to school, volunteer for organizations, shop and eat out, and pay taxes. Each year, Musco as a company puts more than $5 million back into the community through donations. Musco's team members add significantly more on their own, giving to their favorite nonprofits, youth education and activities, religious organizations, and more. This community is important to our team and our team members. Our team members are important to so many aspects of the Oskaloosa community, and they want to stay here. The growth of Musco is due in large part to the community that all of your leadership has created. Leadership through housing, recreation, education, including preschool through secondary and higher education, nonprofits, utilities, safety, communication services, the arts and entertainment. Musco's excited to be a part of this community. We look forward to growing right alongside you. Tonight I offer my thanks to each of you for making this a place where people want to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alicia Helm, and it's great to be here, I guess. As a resident of this city, I feel that there are some things that need to be addressed. The first being that SCRAA, which the city is still a part of, as far as I can tell, is not holding meetings. Per their website, it states they must meet quarterly, have an annual meeting in February, in alternate locations between Pella and Oskaloosa. To my knowledge, their website, their last meeting was October 25, 2022. So we are approaching a year since the last one. If you look at the agenda, the next meeting was scheduled for November 22 of 2022. And since the October meeting was in Pella, this one would have been held in Oski. That meeting never happened to my knowledge, and subsequent ones after that have not happened either. But a notice gets posted on their website that says the meeting for said month is canceled, and information for the next meeting will be posted when the information becomes available. As one of the parties of SCRAA, shouldn't it be your job to make sure they are doing what they are supposed to be doing? And the second issue is the Iowa Supreme Court decision deemed the SCRAA agreement was unconstitutional. So why isn't the city asking to withdraw from the 2080 agreement? It's high time the city steps up and demands that they hold regular meetings, or better yet, just leave the 2080 agreement altogether. And finally, the third thing, the airport. It was stated that they would not be using eminent domain to benefit the whole community and not just the
shine a light onto some really positive things going on in the community, like the Edmondson Park mural, which just got finished. That we
Looks
worked
nice.
together with FACE and the city to bring in a homegrown artist that's moved out to the big world, Lyric Morris Blackjaw. She did an awesome job, and I think created a project that kids will look on for decades to come. There will be kids that look at that while they play, and it'll spark their imagination. There's other murals in the works, like a partnership between FACE and MCRF to bring murals to the rec trail, starting in the next few months. So we've actually are in the planning stages now for the first one. And in the summer, Penn loans me out to the George Daly Youth Theater, and we just completed an amazing summer. We bring in talented theater artists who work with kids and just are doing something very special. And this past Saturday, we had the quarterly Prairie Guild of Puppeteers meeting at the Wood Iron, where they, for some reason, voted to be the new president. So we had a dozen theater artists, puppeteers, that kind of people together. And showing off Oskaloosa, we toured the George Daly, showed them the things that we've been making with the kids. And everybody was blown away by how in a town this size, there's such good sharing, such good, an idea that progress and moving forward can be a good thing for most people. And that's what I want to say, that you guys have the full support of the arts community when it comes to the progress that's happening right now. And don't let a few people who complain a lot dampen that there is a real movement that will keep this community vital for 100 years. And you might get a few nasty comments here and there, but the work you're doing is good. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Okay, very good. Moving on. Next up is the consideration of the consent agenda. These are all items that are generally treated as one motion, routine in nature. I did want to draw the attention of the council to items J, K, and L. All three of these are scheduling public hearings on August 21st of 2023. One is for the vacation and sale of 1,090 square feet of street across from 216 2nd Avenue West. Another one for 8,192 and a quarter square feet of alley in the vicinity of 210 2nd Avenue West. And the third is a sale of the 200-foot by 16-foot section east-west alley adjacent to 806 South M Street. Do we have a motion of support for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jost,
Yes.
Hermison,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next up is the announcement of vacancies we have on various boards and commissions. On our airport commission, we have a vacancy for a term ending in December of 2027 and one vacancy for a term ending in December of 2023. The Building Code Board of Appeals, we now have a vacancy for a regular member and one for an ex officio member. And the Historic Preservation Commission, we have one vacancy for a term ending in December of 2023. And the Library Board of Trustees, we do have a vacancy for a term ending in June of 2023, and our Board of Adjustment has a vacancy for a term ending in December of 2023. So that gets us into our regular agenda. First up is the Oskaloosa Community Schools. Presentation from the superintendent.
Well, as is, I didn't make enough, that's usually.
Figure out
Oh, no, I can share it.
by who we.
Budgets, budgets.
Probably seen it before.
Thank you.
Let's keep going.
I've seen it all. You always got to keep the attorney. And you guys.
Well, I'm Mike Fisher, Superintendent of Schools.
I'm Sarah Phillips, and I'm the Student Council President.
And we are going around sharing an exciting development of our school district, which is our vision culture. Now, I don't know if you all listen to Aaron Tiffany, fans here. He's got a song, you got to stand for something or you fall for anything, right? And one of the things we found about schools is that they're constantly shifting because they don't have a bedrock of who they are. And you see like a charismatic superintendent comes in and all of a sudden it's this thing, this sexy thing, or the board flips, or it's this thing, or whatever. And you have to have, I love, it's about the democracy, republic, whatever you want to call it we live in, but some foundational ideals of what our Constitution is. So what we did over the course of the last year is we created what the Oskaloosa Schools Vision Culture. We took this from a nonprofit in Minnesota who coached us, and it was great. The team went up to start the foundational work on this, and no less than about 100 people had their fingerprints on it before it was done, and some revisions and things that happened. And because this is what we say, we don't have a vision, we have a vision culture. And so tonight I'm just going to go through parts of our pyramid, what develops this. Foundationally, we have our beliefs, and that underpins everything that we do. And you'll see what our beliefs are is being a learning community that is for students and staff. So you're going to notice as we say students and staff, because it's a 50-50 proposition. Without kids, we don't need staff, but without staff, kids aren't going to have school. And we see the high burnout, and so we know we've got to take care of our people. So that's in there. We believe in meeting the needs of all students and staff. We believe in leadership and empowerment, so making people the best version of themselves. We believe in healthy relationships. And in CAPS, we really like this. We believe who you are is more important than what you do. We think that's really important. You don't see that in schools a lot. The next step is our values. Our values are what we say our aspired behaviors. At our best, this is what we look like. And something we stole from another large corporation, that they're called decision-making keys. It actually shows you in the order in which we make decisions around Oskaloosa schools. Number one is always provide safety. Whether that's physical, psychological, safety is number one. So they all have verbs. Number two is we embrace health. We want people to be healthy at their best. We think that's really important. 3 is connect with kindness. We think everything we need to do is be kind. I want to make a point though, kind is not nice. Okay? Nice is, you don't say the things that need to be said. But kind is like, hey, you got a bug in your nose, you need to fix that. That's what friends say. Okay, that's kind. We're not nice. 4 is inspired through learning. You'll notice something. That's number 4. That's not first. Because what we know is if you're not safe, healthy, and kind, learning is not going to happen. And you see so many schools that jump to that, and it's not good. Then finally, it's operate with efficiency. We want to make sure we're never wasting people's time, but we don't want to start there. That we'll do the extra mile if it takes the other 4 values first. So again, that's who we are at our best, and that's how the order in which we're going to make decisions. Purpose, this is what we always say, it's like, that's the Lance Armstrong bracelet type of thing. Why do we exist? And this is all over our website. To love, empower, and inspire people. And we thought we'd get some pushback for the word love, and actually it's been one of the most popular things. Because when we ask for teachers, why'd you get into this business? And it's always something about, I love people, I love kids, and kids, why do you come to school? Because I love coming to school at our best. And so we make it about that. Empowering is we want people to be the best versions of themselves, kids and adults. And then finally, inspiring, we want people to find their passions. So you're going to see that a lot. I love this. We had a lot of debates on these 3 words. It was supposed to be 2 words, but we couldn't get it down to 2 for whatever. We had a good old-fashioned caucus one night. We literally had our entire district leadership team, board members, teachers, staff members, administrators. We were in the old I call it junior high, that's what I remember, middle school, and I'm dated there. But, the old junior high library, right, we literally had the room split in half, right, and we're debating on which words to go with, and then classic teacher moment, somebody goes, can't we just do both? So, 3 words it is. So, and then mission. What are we doing? And our mission hasn't changed. It's been around for over 10 years, and we made a point to keep that engaging all students to embrace the power of learning. What you'll notice is there's a line, foundational. Everything below that doesn't change, okay? That doesn't change. That is our constitution, so to speak. My greatest hope is our board, our leadership, me someday, this is still going strong, and I can look back and that was really cool, I used to work there. It makes it not about me or people, it makes it about the vision culture. Now, above the line is our goals and strategies, and we ask ourselves, as Jim Collins saying, what's our hedgehog? What are we best in the world at, And what are we best at? We realize we're best at is connections. We want to connect people with each other and connect people with their passions, their jobs, their careers. I joke that we have plans for our kids. It's called Get Out of Your Parents' Basement Plan. And we want to connect people with plans to do that. I feel like I might have hit home with maybe I should have said that. What are we most passionate about? We're passionate about people. So connecting people with what they need to do with each other. And then how we determine success, that's growing. And so we're going to show growth. So you see in that Venn diagram, that's what we're trying to show there. And then finally the goals will be what we're trying to, how we're going to measure it. So, and on the back is kind of our strategic planning to read more about that at your leisure. But again, goals and strategies change. John Wooden says that, his bedrock beliefs didn't change. The strategy was shifting sands on the bedrock, so that's what we're seeing. The problem is, if you don't have a vision culture, people become irrationally in love with strategy, right? And I tell this story a little tongue-in-cheek, but we'll go with me on this. There's a lot of truth to this. We changed from projectors to touchscreen TVs. It was a big deal, wasn't it? 4-member comfort. And I remember I sat with the teacher, I don't know, Mike, this might be the end. I might retire over this. So, hey, when you were an undergrad and you went to college, why'd you get into school? Well, I wanted to touch kids' lives. I wanted to make an impact with kids. So you didn't get to school for projectors? But in defense of that teacher, if you don't have things to ground them in something, we become irrationally in love with that curriculum, that strategy, that tool. But at the end of the day, it's about this. So we're just going around the community, letting you know what we're doing. We're trying to get to a lot of our boards, nonprofits, to really communicate who and what we're about, and that this is kind of what's coming. And again, we're not going to do what's best for kids, do what's best for adults. What we find is that we do what's best for vision culture, we do what's best for everybody, do the most good for the most people. So Sarah's on a team who is learning how to do presentations across town, but she maybe take the first one. But she did come tonight to answer the questions right now, so I'm just being a good model. Down the road, you'll see the students presenting this a lot more than me. So that was the quick spiel of our Aaron Tippin moment. So what questions do you have for us?
I'd like to know what prompted all this.
It was really funny. Serendipitous, or I'm very faithful, so I think sometimes fate comes into that, as it happens. this nonprofit up in Minnesota. It's one of the largest nonprofits in Minnesota. It serves over 25,000 people. So many people were getting engaged with the nonprofit that they actually started their own professional learning arm called the Eagle Brook Association. It's really cool. They don't charge a dime. You can just come up and be a part of this. It's really cool. They budget money just to do professional development. And I said, hey, I'm going to go up to this thing. I just always wanted to go up for it. It's really cool. And then here's what happened. I didn't know this is a thing. It's called FOMO. You know what FOMO is? Fear of missing out.
out.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yes. All of our principals and directors go, well, we want to go too.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of them was on a site visit to Ohio, changed her flight, went to Detroit, and they came to Minneapolis on a red eye. We had to pick her up, and I go, I'm coming to this thing too. And it was just really serendipitous. And then here's what happened: we're sitting around one night, we're going through all this training about how to create a vision culture, right? And I love it. They go, Mike, we need to go back to the hotel, and we need to get some beverages and pizza, and we need to crank this out for Oski schools. And we're like, oh yeah, cool. And they did. And what they did was we got about 80% of the way there. They came down, because I said, you also can't be Moses coming down the mountain. That doesn't go very well. People have to have their fingerprints on it. But what was cool was, Joe, it really was not so much of us dreaming it up. It was more what I call like uncovering in the sand. It was already here. This has been
Right.
Oski schools for a long time. What we did is we just dug it out of the beach and then showed it up for people. But we brought it back and we went through a lot of review, we called it scrubbing. Took a lot of people, got input, but we had a lot of like, yes, thank you, this is what we're looking for. So it was, I'd love to say I was just brilliant and had a plan. It wasn't that beautiful. It was a bunch of like-minded people got in a room and had some beverages, and here we are tonight.
Thank you.
So a lot of plans get put together and then they start to show age. So how do you keep the thing fresh? Quarterly meetings, or how do you measure progress, that sort of thing?
So part of this is what we call our sneezer work. This is what the association told us: you need sneezers. And this has got probably maybe bad timing in terms of our society workers, but you're supposed to go sneeze this on people, right? And what you do is it becomes contagious,
Oh.
And the problem is if you don't sneeze positive, a lot of negative gets sneezed out, right? And so we're doing that tonight. We're here to like show you and be cheerleaders for what this is, and we give it CPR. You got to give it constant resuscitation and constant love and attention, because what happens is you start to stray from purpose. When you see an organization get wonky or weird things happen, you stray from your purpose. And because organizations, Mayor, are like, we say it's like a big elephant, you've got to walk with the elephant and guide it. If you push on it, you'll get pooped on. And if you try to yank it by the trunk, you'll get stepped on, right? But this helps us guide the elephant and say, hey, this is where you're going. And so, but I will tell you, if you don't give this constant time and attention and center the organization around it, it'll die pretty quick.
Okay.
And kind of just going off of that too, keeping, like you said, keeping it fresh, keeping it new, that's where really the dividing line comes in, and knowing that goals and strategy is going to change. And that'll keep things fresh too, because what works right now might not work in 10 years, might not work in 5 years, but by changing it, keeping it fresh.
Okay. So where does the student council fit into this?
So actually, student council is really separate from it. What we have done is we've created a student team. So there's 4 of us, so I and then a few other kids, 2 seniors, a junior, and a sophomore. And we are honestly just helping and doing this in the community. Student council doesn't come into this at all. We have a lot of other great things that I can talk about all day long. But honestly, no, it's more of a school thing, and everyone who wants to be involved can be involved.
And we did get a lot of student input. We sat with students and talked through this, especially high school students. I love our elementary folks, but sometimes there's like, which is cool. We love the excitement. We had some tough questions from some high school kids and from some of our 8th graders. I did focus groups and like, well, help me understand, or like, why is this important? Why does this matter? And really getting input from that. So there were changes. What came out of that hotel room back in Minnesota, it's a lot different than what we walked out with. But we got that work seeded, and so what you're hearing a lot of is a change in terminology. We don't do what's best for kids, what's best for staff. We do what's best for our vision culture, what's driving our vision culture. And then you get away from like personal opinions and personal agendas. There's not my agenda or her agenda, there's our agenda for the vision culture, and that's really centered us.
Okay. So you're keeping track of the folks that had input on this, so that students that have been plugged into it can go back at their 5-year reunion or 15-year reunion and say, yeah, that great place, I was part of that. Here's my name.
there's a list somewhere. We use a project management software called Trello, and I should show you like everything we did with it. And it's like, my gosh, that all the names are on there, and we probably do need to memorialize that of like everybody had fingerprints on it. It was a really cool. I'd love to say this was all me. It was not. I had actually very little to do with this. It's kind of cool. Just the spark took off. I was just going to Minnesota for a cool thing, and then here we are today. And it's. But I will tell you what we've heard over and over. This was the missing piece for Oski schools. That we needed a North Star. We felt this is our North Star.
Okay. Okay. Other questions from council? Sorry to dominate.
Oh, yeah. I heard you give fabulous presentations, so anyway, yes. One of those leaders, you'd follow you anywhere, you know. How is this going to work? There's been a lot about public schools in the legislature from politics this year. And that, do you see this as kind of coping and adjusting and succeeding despite some of the negativity?
Well, I do. I think it shows what our agenda is, you know. And you know what our agenda is? Pretty much the golden rule, you know, and that's what it is. And we just want to make people better. There's no secret agenda for pushing this ideology or these types of things. You know, we just want good citizenry. We want good people that contribute to our economy. You know, I heard this one time. We're not saying think less of yourself. We're saying think of yourself less often, right? And if we can get a society like that and do what's good for the most people, that's what we said. This does the most good for the most people.
Right.
It's really interesting too, with this coming in, I'll be blunt, we've seen some turnover even with families and staff because we promote this. We said this as a staff member, if you want to run your own agenda, I call it the John Wayne, I'm just going to do my own thing, you will not make it in Oski schools. We play football, we play soccer, we don't play single sports. And it seems like a subtle thing, but that is very much here. And you know, and again, good people we love. I've had to have some hard conversations like, hey, this is probably just not the right fit for you. You're going to be really uncomfortable here. But what I love is the people that we're seeing come in, they want to be a part of this. We showed this to a new teacher that's coming from a neighboring district, and she started tearing up. She goes, this is what I'm looking for. And so she came up here, bought a house, and enrolled her kid this week. And so we call it a magnet. It will attract and hold on to the right things in people, and it will repel the wrong things in the wrong people. And so that's where I really, you know, I think Lisa, we're really feeling like this plays to people regardless of a lot of different opinions. Like this is pretty universal, we think, in most people.
I'd just piggyback off what Dr. Fisher said. I had the pleasure of working with Dr. Fisher over the past couple of years, and you know, there's been a lot of negative storylines in the past about the school district, and we've moved past that. And I think you see where we're going now, and I had the pleasure of being a part of the board that hired Dr. Fisher, and I think tonight you've seen why Dr. Fisher rose to the top after a 4-month intensive, rigorous process. I want to thank Dr. Fisher and Amal as well. I served on the board 12 years ago, and the fact that the city and the school are in the same building right now, the fact that we're collaborating together, that's never really happened before. I firmly believe that in order to have a strong community, we have to have a strong school. And in order to have a strong school, we have to have a strong city. So, thank you to both of you for what you're doing for our community.
Thank you for kind words, and it's a true blessing to be here. We just thank you for your time tonight.
Okay. Well done.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Okay. Getting to item B. This is to consider an ordinance amending Title 17 zoning to enact a new zoning code text and map for the city of Oskaloosa and its 2-mile extraterritorial jurisdiction. It is the first reading. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. So if you remember, we adopted a new comprehensive plan in November, Plan Oski. And one of the things we planners like to say is, let's not let it just sit on the shelf and be under dust, right? We want to use it, we want to implement it, we want to refer to it. So one of the things we've been working on the last several months is to update our zoning code. And that is one of the best things that we can do as a community. Our zoning code is our land use regulations. And that's the best way, in my opinion, to implement the goals and recommendations of the comprehensive plan. So we've been working with Charlie Cowell with RDG for those last several months. Charlie's going to take you through a few slides here, and we'll be happy to answer questions, take your comments, and then also as a reminder, this is a public hearing, so we'll open it up to the audience as well.
Okay.
Charlie?
Thanks, Sean. Mayor and Council, just want to take a few minutes here to update on the process process of what we went through and some of the key items of the zoning code update is a hefty document to review, so hopefully we'll cover the main items in there. You know, I like to take things when I go to these council meetings from the previous presenters in front of me, and zoning's not as flashy as school district visioning, but you know, keep it fresh. Keep it fresh.
Mike's systems have active.
Just avoid the 176-page presentation. Thank you.
But keep it fresh. So that's really what we're doing. The comp plan, Plan OSKI, was an update to the 2000 comprehensive plan, 23 years. This zoning code update will be a similar time frame. So digging out from the sand those things that have changed over time that we know have changed, they just haven't got updated in the zoning code. So that was first and foremost a lot of what this process was really all about. First, just for those in the audience, and just as a reminder for comprehensive planning, Plan OSKI is the overarching vision document for the city. It's the guide for your development policy. You all know that this is the context for key land use and public decisions, investment decisions, as Sean mentioned. And it should change. It's a strategic document as things change in the community. It should change over time, as should the zoning code, as things change and visions change. A main component of the comprehensive plan that directly relates to the zoning ordinance is the future land use map. So the future land use map, as a reminder, is that a policy map is generalized. It's fuzzy lines showing general policy for how land use should change over time in the next 5, 10, 20 years as things voluntarily change uses or developments come in. The zoning map is the one that actually it relates to implementation of that vision. So I won't delve into this, but as Sean mentioned, since the end of last year, we've been working on updating the code, going section by section with staff and others to review and take a look at the existing code. I will say the process started by taking your existing code, really going line by line, striking through what is no longer relevant and what is. And quite a lot of it got carried through. If you're familiar with your current code, you'll notice a lot of the same language and a lot of the same sections. And that was on purpose, because don't change things that aren't broken, that sort of thing. So, that being said though, which Sean and his team and the drafts we sent, we diligently went through line by line, had, I will say, 175 comments. I know that's short, conservative number, but they were testing us on things and ideas we were presenting, so it was went through with a fine-tooth comb. In the end, there's a couple things I just want to point out that zoning does and does not do. First and foremost, it's the regulatory document for development, site plan development in the city, rezoning, land use regulation within the city. It can also plan for things like parks and open spaces. And then one change with this ordinance versus your last one is it does provide jurisdiction for the 2-mile area around city limits, excluding the city limits of Beacon and University Park. So that is new. That was not in your previous ordinance. There's lots of things it doesn't do that sometimes get confused. It's not the building code. It doesn't regulate buildings, interiors of buildings. Doesn't necessarily regulate the layouts of lots and streets. That's typically the subdivision code. Utility lines, infrastructure, that often is separate codes. Doesn't force anybody to change what they're doing with their current property. It only gets triggered when someone comes in wanting to do something different. Then the zoning code comes into effect to see what works and what doesn't. So just a couple bullet points there. Overall, there's really 5 main goals of this update that we identified at the beginning, even before we even started the comprehensive plan process. We knew this was going to happen, and there were some things we wanted to identify as main goals. One is modernizing the zoning ordinance. 23 years ago, we didn't know there was going to be things that there are today, and so we had to make sure those were in there. I'll talk about a few of them. Consistency with other plans. There's other plans, not just the comprehensive plan, they get referenced in the zoning code that we needed to make sure we were jiving with and making sure those matched. Addressing gaps that could be new uses, things that have changed over time that just never got updated. Providing flexibility, and that's mostly in the procedural processes, giving more options or less options, I should say, in some instances to make things more streamlined. And then just making sure we're meeting any legal requirements that changed over the past 20 years or so that haven't been incorporated. And so a couple, just 2 or 3 slides here, the big changes that are different from the current code. One is we added a new district called the Public Institutional District. This is for all those things like schools and William Penn and hospital and those sorts of things that aren't really residential. They're not really commercial in a lot of instances. And so these uses we often are okay having in more residential areas, but they may need some different requirements that residential districts can't provide. So this separate district kind of deals with all that and keeps that separate. So we can deal with those situations and not necessarily rezone to commercial uses in residential areas. Generally across the board, reducing residential lot sizes and widths. This is generally mostly to just align with how your existing development has happened. A lot of times over the years, codes got adopted for new development that didn't necessarily align with how homes in the core were built. And that was just a trend that happened in the planning world, and it's not necessarily right, but creates a lot of non-conforming issues, and we kind of work to balance that out and erase some of those non-conforming issues. We got more specific on a lot of supplemental regulations, and this was related to new uses that we didn't have in the old plan, things like animal keeping, outdoor storage, making sure those things can be allowed in the right way. Right now, there's not a lot of regulations to talk about animal keeping, which means it's typically not allowed if it's not mentioned. So we made sure those things were mentioned and added the appropriate things to make them work. A couple other things, as we think about more flexibility in different districts, we added just clarified a lot of things related to project parking lots and parking areas and how those might develop. The current code has this A Avenue corridor overlay, if you're familiar with it. It's got a lot of this point system that deals with development on A Avenue. It was determined there was a lot of good things in there, but some things that weren't so great, so we pulled out the good things and made them apply kind of more broadly than just the A Avenue corridor. And landscaping and some of those things are included in that. We really kept the existing material and design standards the same. We reviewed them and added a couple little tweaks just to make it more clear. But generally those were carried forward straight through, because we know we're relatively new and we're still trying to figure out how that all works. We generally reduce parking requirements across the board, and that is in line with some of the comments from the comprehensive plan and creating more opportunities for walkable neighborhoods and development and such. We're not saying you can't have parking, it's just we're not saying in a lot of instances you have to have as much as the current code would suggest. So. And then lastly, some legal things. Rewrote the whole sign ordinance, and that's from a Supreme Court case. I won't get into the deal with right now, but basically making sure we're not regulating signs by what it says. So content neutrality related to signs. And then reorganize the administrative section. Right now, it's kind of spread all over. We like to go in with a blind eye and read the code just as a general observer to start it out. And if I have to go to multiple sections to find out how to go to Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning versus City Council versus Site Plan, that's an easy one. Just put it all together, that's the first recommendation. So we reorganized some of that, and we did take a look at all those standards for streamlining purposes, and probably one of the largest changes in that section is the site plan review process. We did amend that based on conversation with staff and others, and that now is a planning and zoning commission process. So they can refer that to the council if they choose for a number of reasons. Could be the scale of development, could be because somewhere in the code it requires. There's some uses that require council approval. It could be just because they don't feel comfortable making a final decision on it and they want to get another meeting on the schedule for it. So that is one of the bigger changes in that section. And so lastly, that all culminates into the zoning map. Again, we matched up the districts as best we could with the existing districts. So the colors probably look a lot of very similar to what you have today. We did consolidate the districts. It felt there was several districts that were built for one particular situation that necessarily warrants its own district. That's primarily related to the commercial districts. There's now 4 commercial districts. I believe there were 6 or 7 before for a number of different situations. So we consolidated that down to 4. And then we have our industrial districts, just like we have today, and then our public institutional district, which is that new district I mentioned at the beginning. There are a couple overlay districts, as we call them. These are districts that are kind of special in nature, one being the historic district downtown. So that's got some national Secretary of Interior standard requirements that is included in that district. And the other is a planned, we're calling it, what are we calling it here? I've already forgot. Industrial planned overlay district. So that's your certified site area. And that is to align with some state requirements for design standards and primarily use restrictions, but that they were requiring of the city. So with that, happy to answer any questions. This is well, I can let Sean explain more, but there are 3 readings for this. Today is the first of those. And the second would be the 21st and 5th if stuck with that.
I could, Mr. Mayor, just elaborate on one of the points that Charlie made. So regarding site plan approval, this might be worth repeating just to make sure that this is clear. So right now, we have a 3-step approval process for site plan applications. Starts with staff. A lot of times we have a pre-application meeting or hearing with the applicant. Staff reviews their submittals to make sure that it meets all applicable regulations. Then goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission to review the plans. They vote to make, they hold a hearing, and then they vote to make recommendations to the City Council. And then the last step and third step is to come here. One of the things that we're trying to do with this is to streamline our approval process. We want to make it easier, not more difficult for developers to get the approval that they need. And we do have professional staff and a very competent Planning and Zoning Commission available to you here. So with this, to make sure that it's entirely clear, as with the site plan application that you have on your agenda this evening, if this code is approved, the City Council would no longer have the final authority to approve site plans unless that's passed on to you from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So, any questions on that, please feel free to let us know. Then I would also mention again that this does extend our zoning to 2 miles beyond city limits. We could pull up the zoning map if you'd like to see it. Our approach on that is mostly agriculture. So unless there was an existing land use or business or a subdivision outside our city limits, the majority of the properties will be zoned ag. If there was an existing business, they'll have commercial zoning. If there was an existing residential neighborhood, or perhaps served by rural water, they will have residential zoning as applicable. Any questions?
Yeah, so in best case scenario today for a site plan review, what's the quickest someone can get that done?
Yeah, best case scenario, you figure submittal 3 to 4 weeks prior, you get that on the P&Z agenda, you're looking at best case scenario 2 months.
And under the new plan?
We would cut off, since it's approved by resolution, we would remove about 3 weeks, about 40% remove 40%
Good.
of
All
the
right.
process.
Great. All right, thank you.
Go ahead. On your new, the public and institution, you might want to say and/or, because William Penn is a private institution. So there's differences, there's strong differences in that. So,
That makes sense.
yeah, just an and/or, you know.
Other comments or questions from council?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been many, many, many years since the city council has disagreed with a recommendation from planning and zoning.
Yeah.
So, I think
Yeah.
that's a good move. So, okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone who would care to speak to this? Okay, seeing, yes, sir. Please come to the microphone, name and address, please.
There's been talk about...
Name and address, please.
Peter Malou, 511 North Park.
Okay.
There's been talk about hospital expansion, and that would involve increasing the amount of parking, and I wanted to know about the zoning changes and how that would impact the parking situation.
Mayor and Council, the question was if the zoning code would impact the plan changes or expansions of the hospital. I don't believe adopting the new zoning code would. I think I guess for the most part, the zoning code will include and carry over the same provisions that we have today. Right now, the hospital is zoned residential, and by changing and adopting the new zoning map to public and institutional, I think frankly is more appropriate for that building. You know, we've not seen any specific plans for hospital expansion. I do know that they've submitted a variance application to reduce the setback. There would be a 30-foot addition on the west side.
Yeah, that's exactly what would impact us where we live.
So that's a separate application and is not part of this.
Did you say it was on the west side, though? You said it was on the west side
Yes, the variance application that has not gone to the Board of Adjustment, that's correct, it's on the west side.
of the hospital.
Not on the east side.
We have not seen any, there's been some conversations, but no submittals for any other
Okay.
applications at this time.
And so once one was submitted, then there's a process to go through where there would be public hearings and evaluations at that point and pretty much open everything up at that point.
That's correct. They would submit and go through a review process. If the project is large enough to require a site plan submittal, then it would. It would go through staff review and the Planning and Zoning Commission. Otherwise, if it's below a certain threshold, which I believe, going off memory here, is roughly 25%
Yeah.
expansion, then that can just be done as part of a plan review and permitting process. And of
Okay.
course, would also have to meet all of the building and zoning codes as well.
Okay. Okay. And so if people have questions, can they go ahead and call your office from time to time and see if there's something happening?
Absolutely.
Okay. 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 Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for the zoning ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion from council? Roll call, please.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item C. This is a resolution approving an agreement with Iowa State University's Community Design Lab to develop a park and recreation comprehensive plan.
First of all, I'll introduce myself to everyone here and watching. Stu Tim, City of Oskaloosa Community Services and Parks and Recreation Director. I want to thank the staff especially for the warm welcome. I began work on July 24th. And Alex keeps asking me if I'm coming back every day. I just want to thank you all for the warm welcome. I have been in the community since 2019, so I feel like I'm kind of on the ground and running as far as things we're talking about or where some parks are at. There's a few I've seen in the community, but I also look forward to working with all of you and getting to know you more. So with that said, we have a short presentation here before the communication and the resolution that the mayor has mentioned. So the strategic plan that the City of Oskaloosa, I believe, finished in 2022, has a strategic priority area of a vibrant community, investment in social, cultural, and built environment that fosters community pride, facilities, qualities, experience for residents, businesses, and visitors. Goal 1.4 in that is to promote arts, culture, and recreational amenities and opportunities for utilization. In this project, our project scope, as you can see there, systems inventory, documents and visualize existing conditions, concerns, and opportunities for parks and trail system. Along with that, they would then assessment related to access, circulation, program, experience, and landscape performance. And then the last thing we are looking for with the agreement with Iowa State is design strategies for enhancement and open space development. Our deliverables are kind of broken down there. So report, graphic and narrative summary, individual illustrations, diagrams, plans that can be utilized for promotion and seeking funding. One of the next things is one of the things we're also, maybe the most excited about is our GIS inventory of parks and trail systems, the components and the proposed enhancement on that. And then the last thing is our story map, highlighting current offerings and potential enhancements. With that, just the way that so many things have gone, you can envision having a kiosk of, okay, you're in the square now, what else is out there, an app, those kind of things, just taking advantage of I guess, the resources that are out there now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just our project timeline. This is also kind of how they broke it down for installments of payment. So Q1 is our inventory analysis and assessment. Q2 would be our strategies and framework. Q3 is the comprehensive park systems plan. And then Q4 is our final report. As things go well, the plan would be April of 24. So, and speaking with them all and Chris with our Mahaska County Conservation, that's really a pretty quick turnaround on a project like this, I feel like. So I know personally.
I think what I like about this too is it's my understanding is, Stu, it's not just you and Chris and Iowa State in a room coming up with some master plan to take over the world, right? I mean, you're going to engage the stakeholders in the community, people already involved in recreation, and I mean, just as quality of life opportunities that we have. I like what you said about the story map, because I've been here for 50 years, and Chris has a lot of areas in this county that I have no clue where they're at or what they are. So I think that's a great story that we can tell, again, as we sell our community to the region, all the good things that we have. I think the other thing is as we think about the study and think about your position, is that so many times myself, even I'm guilty of thinking recreation is about sports. It's sports. How many baseball games do we have? How many soccer games do we have? How many? And it's not. It's far-reaching. I mean, Brant talked about the arts. I mean, that is recreation for people. That's how we engage within our community. And again, Chris and County Conservation, I think this might be the first time we've partnered with County Conservation.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great partnership. Again, let's bring not just the city of Oskaloosa in the conversation. Let's include the greater Mahaska community. So just another example of the partnerships that we're forming, that we're developing, and in order to grow the community. So thank you.
Yeah,
And one thing I will mention, just listening to you, the one thing that shouldn't be forgotten is also in the agreement, there is 2 times where there's community input. So seeking out, it's not just what we want, it's what the community wants. So I look forward to those conversations with Iowa State and coming up with that plan of how do we do this? Is it a gathering? Is it we send things out, or so I look forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'd like to say too how really pleased I am that you're doing this. To me, measuring the health of the community is always knowing the public schools, the public library, and the public parks, and how that helps the health of everyone. So thank you.
Yeah. And I think it's going to create a lot of awareness. I was in a meeting with Chris a while back, and you had commented that you had looked at the waterfall over at the Bluffs, Cedar Bluffs, and I had no idea. I don't think a lot of people in Mahaska County have any idea.
I didn't know that.
There's a waterfall at Cedar Bluffs around it.
Yeah.
Where's Cedar Bluff at?
Well, and so
I know.
I don't know.
So maybe we're gonna have a field trip for the city.
So Chris, I mean, I can see I can read this table. Everybody wants to know where Cedar Bluffs is. Could you come up to the microphone for a second?
I didn't know there was a waterfall there, but I did.
Painted in the mural out here.
In public arts.
I won't get wet, will I?
For those of you that haven't met me, I'm Chris Klingon. I'm the new director for the Mahaska County Conservation Board. And I'm also very excited about this project, because for us, it's step number 1 for our planning process. So we haven't had any plans put in place. So this is gonna kind of give us some direction, some focus, and, you know, kind of a vision to kind of, you know, work towards. So, but in reference to Cedar Bluffs, so it's a very neat area. So, the state of Iowa right now, they're doing a multi-species inventory study out there. And I just happened to run into some of the students who are doing the studies out there. And they found that we have the race runner lizards out there, which we didn't know that we had lizards out there. So that's really unique. They got some bobcats on video. I can't remember the name of the dragonfly, but it's kind of a very rare, unique dragonfly that they found out there. But it's about a 220-acre park that we have. It's in the southwest corner, relatively speaking, of the county. And it's comprised of some prairies, some reconstructed prairies. There's some little remnant edges around there, some savannas. And it's just a very beautiful area. We have an overlook that overlooks Cedar Creek. You can see Cedar Creek and the Des Moines River right there. And this is a beautiful place. You gotta hike, you gotta go, you gotta earn it.
Well,
tell me around, right? Can't drive everywhere.
Yeah, down below the bluff, we have some stairways that go down, a couple of different areas that kind of go down. There's some limestone outcroppings, and there's this one area where it's kind of like a little cave, and it's an ephemeral waterfall, so that's basically when we get plenty of rain, there'll be a little waterfall that kind of runs down. So,
Yeah, that's why
there's old carvings where people from years and years ago kind of carved into the side of the limestone. And it's just a really rich, you know, like culturally and natural resource. Just a really cool area. So if you guys want to come check it out, give me a call.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. We look forward to putting it on a map.
I can see our trailhead that way, huh?
Yeah.
You know, the golf cart.
Any other questions for Stu? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
So attached with this is a resolution approving the agreement with Iowa State's University Community Design Lab to develop the comprehensive plan. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond.
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes.
Calgery.
Yes.
Comfort.
Yes.
Drost.
Yes.
Hermson.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next up is how we pay for it, I suppose. Stu, do you want to comment on this as well?
I think we've discussed it a little bit, but just, you know, it is a cost sharing agreement, a unique opportunity. I think on day one, Chris was in my office and Amal said, here, take this and run with it. And it's been exciting, and it's just an opportunity for us to partner with the Manhasset County Board. I should mention that they are on board. They signed it or approved of it on Thursday night, August 3rd. So we know we have their blessing, and
They sent us a check too.
Prepaid, there's confidence.
And it's in the budget consideration for the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so in the council packet, it mentions in there the plan cost is estimated to be $21,400, split 50-50 with the Conservation Board. And if there is any overage, that would be split 50-50 as well.
True. Also, we have a 300,000. Oh,
3,000. 3,000.
I liked your first number better.
American Energy also
Yep.
was very supportive of the project for $3,000 as well.
Okay, so that takes it down.
So that takes it down for our 50-50 share.
Okay, very good. Do we have a motion of support for paying it that way?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I like cooperation. Roll call, please.
Almond.
Yes.
Burnett.
Yes.
Calgery.
Yes.
Comfort.
Yes.
Drost.
Yes.
Hermson.
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item E. This is to consider a resolution approving an agreement with Clow Valve and the Iowa Economic Development Authority regarding the High Quality Jobs Program and the tax exemption for the proposed Clow improvements. So in our explanation, on February 21st, the council approved the Clow Valve application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority High Quality Jobs Program and tax exemption for expansion and redevelopment of the Oskaloosa Iron Foundry. Estimated cost of construction, $68.5 million. Clow applied for the High Quality Jobs Program, which includes a local match policy requirement and community signature on the award contract. Clow Improvements qualified for the Industrial Urban Revitalization Plan 10-year tax abatement program, and that was used to meet the match. Section 3.12.050 of the Oskaloosa Municipal Code authorizes the City Council to grant prior approval for eligibility for tax exemption on new construction, and the exemption will occur after the construction is completed. So approval of the resolution confirms the local support for Clow Valve's application to the High Quality Jobs Program and confirms their eligibility for tax exemption on the project. Do we have a motion of support on this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
It's another great thing happened in Oskaloosa, I think, on the heels of, and actually this announcement came first, but Musco this week, and a few months ago, Cloud announced this expansion or investment in their foundry. Large corporations don't make $68 million investments if they're planning on leaving town. So, I mean, that's 300 plus jobs that we know are going to stay here, and it's a commitment long term. It's fantastic having two of our largest employers making those types of long-term commitments to our community. So thank you to Clow. Thank you to IEDA and everybody for making that happen.
Absolutely. Clow had a very small groundbreaking ceremony last week, and the ownership, Philip McWayne, was in town, and we had the pleasure of being able to talk to him for a little while, and he mentioned that Clow has never made, the McWayne organization has never made an investment this large anywhere. So it speaks very well to how well they enjoy their relationship with Oskaloosa. Okay, let's see, you got the motion of support. Roll call, please.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Drost?
Yes.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Allman?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item F. And this is to consider a resolution approving a contract with Iowa Dredging LLC to perform the work on the Edmondson Pond dredging. So the council had approved a CIP authorization to dredge the pond. The project was advertised, semi-formal competitive bids as required by the purchasing policy. Iowa Dredging LLC was the low bidder for the project in the amount of $145,970. Staff is also requesting city manager be authorized an additional amount of $14,600 as a contingency in case of unforeseen circumstances, about 10%, and that's pretty typical. Do we have a motion of support giving them the contract?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? We got some pretty pictures.
Wait till they clean it.
Yeah.
More blue.
And this isn't as much algae as a lot of ponds are suffering, so it's good to do it earlier.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Calgery?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Drost?
Yes.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Allman?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item G. It's a resolution approving a contract with Norris Asphalt Paving. This is to perform the work on the surface repair on Luminary Lane. Kind of needs it. The council approved CIP to repair the surface along Luminary Lane. It will consist of milling the existing surface, patchwork, and paving 4 inches of hot mix asphalt as an overlay on top of the road. The project was advertised, semi-formal competitive bids. Norris Asphalt was the sole bidder in the amount of $126,205, 16% below the $150,000 budget. Staff is requesting an additional amount of $12,700 as a contingency in case of unforeseen circumstances, about 10%. Do we have a motion of support for this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Just down this road the other day and thought I was going to have to go to the chiropractor afterwards.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
See those.
Okay. Roll call.
Comfort?
Yes.
Drost?
Yes.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Allman?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item H. This is a resolution approving the site plan application for a recreation and entertainment facility at the Gateway Commercial Park. This item was tabled at the last council meeting. We had the lack of a quorum that could pass it, so it's back on the agenda. So the city has received a site plan application for the new recreation and entertainment facility located on the Coal Mine Loop at Gateway Commercial Park subdivision. 3.4 acre site, currently vacant and zoned to HC Highway Commercial District. Proposed 46,000 square foot facility, currently referred to as the Oskaloosa Entertainment Venue, includes a bar and grill restaurant, indoor-outdoor seating, a 3-screen movie theater with concessions, 2 tennis courts, 4 pickleball courts, and 3 golf simulators. Construction expected to begin this fall with opening in late 2024. Facility will be developed and managed by Evolve Hospitality, the same entity that manages the adjoining Fairfield Inn, and the submittal has been received by city staff and meets all applicable zoning and development requirements. This does come after the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend unanimous approval at their July 5th meeting, and staff is recommending approval as well. Do we have a motion of support for this?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I just want to say,
Oh, go ahead.
this is fantastic. Like, there's so many good things happening in our community, and we need to be proud of what is happening. And being, 29, like, I chose to make Oski my home. I could have moved away, but I knew we had great things coming, and I'm going to stick it out. Like, this is just awesome. So thank you to everybody who's putting the investment into our community.
I've had a million people ask me, and they heard about this, and they're like, "Rob, this is really going to happen." I'm like, "This is really going to happen." So it's great for everybody. And I always say this for the younger people, but we need something for our younger people to do, and this is going to satisfy a lot of younger and older. It's a great thing for our community.
And me being 29.
Yeah.
Good, Joe.
I want to try those pickleball courts. I don't know.
We're taking video of that.
Yeah. You beat me, Joe, because I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'm 64, and I've got a couple of things to say. So forget what kind of business it is. It's just disappointing to me to listen to the naysayers in the community talk about, oh, we're getting another pizza joint, or I've seen negative on this, oh, it's going to fall into a hole because it's a coal mine. Well, I'm pretty sure if somebody's spending this kind of money on it, they probably checked that out before they did it. Or that Musco's doing their stuff that they're going to do, or, I don't know if I see anything negative about Clow, I guess. But what they need to understand, and then in the next sentence they'll say, why don't you fix our roads? Every one of these things improves our tax revenue. Every time you see a business, whether it's another pizza joint or whatever it might be, improves our tax revenue that allows us to have more money to spend on our infrastructure. So I would hope that people would welcome these businesses with open arms, and that people are willing to spend this kind of money in our community to have enough faith in us that we're going to support them when they do open, right? So, yeah, and then I want to just speak to one thing Diane said a little while ago when she started. I'm one of those people that moved to Oskaloosa because of Musco. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't because of Musco. I've been here a little over 9 years now. I came here, I'm from here originally, but I was in New York when I actually moved here. So I moved back from New York, and if it wasn't for Musco, I wouldn't be here today. So there's a lot of people like that. And I just said it yourself, right? You're not from here either, right? You'd have moved away. So not just Musco, but whether it's Clow or any of these businesses that are opening that attract the people to our community. And I would challenge you before you spout off the negative stuff, people that are outside of the community that say, oh, why are you doing this because there's a coal mine there? They look at that and they wonder, do I really want to live here? So if you love your community, then, get on board, because this bus has left, the train's left the train station, you need to hop on it. So,
I think I said this once, I think other than Charlie and Bob, and you were originally from, none of us were from here. So we all chose to be here.
Yeah.
So,
it's rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I just have one question, because I am a movie buff, and I was glad to see the movie. What happens to the current movie theater? Are we going to have 2 movie theaters? Is one going to move? I was just curious on that plan, because I think we can support more bars. I'm not sure we can support 2 movie theaters.
The current movie theaters are, that's part of the reason the theaters are included in this complex is because of Musco's expansion.
Okay.
The theater is
I've had people ask, and I didn't know how to answer.
Essentially relocated to the Gateway development.
They got those great seats in there. My daughter from Davenport was like, "Wow, I didn't know you had a nice theater."
I think the question in community is this is going to stay up until the other one's built.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Drost,
Abstain.
Hermson,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Burnett,
Abstain?
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Comfort.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to the end of our regular agenda. Reports on anything from city staff, city manager, anything? Okay. City clerk, anything?
No, sir, thank you.
City attorney?
Nothing, thank you, sir.
Council members, why don't we start with you, Lisa?
I just got back from Minnesota. It is nice to see the projects being developed here in Oskaloosa, because the little lake town we're near, there was just for sale sign after for sale sign. Even their pizza place had a for sale sign. So it's difficult for rural communities to survive. So.
Joe? Okay. Charlie?
Nothing.
Janet?
Just thank you to all the volunteers for helping with Sweet Corn Serenade. We had a great evening, and yeah.
Yeah.
Bob?
No, thank you, sir.
Rhonda?
I believe this is the last Thankful Thursday in the alley for the year. Come out and enjoy.
Steve? Okay.
thank you.
Well, I also wanted to comment on the YMCA opened up on the 1st of August. But, boy, we had a slug of just really good stuff happening at the same time. And that commanded attention from other folks. And so as we were talking about the certified site, did the ribbon cutting on that, that got the attention of the governor after we had Debbie Durham in town. And then Marinette Miller Meeks was coming into town as well, wanting to talk to the folks who were involved with all of these types of projects and getting a lot of attention at the state level and federal level, that things are finally, after years of working together, happening. And so if you can find any reason at all to go into the YMCA, do it. Get a tour, get a look at it. This is the sort of thing that the city council has been in hours and hours and hours of closed sessions working through getting this thing built, in jumping through all the hoops necessary in order to do it right, and insisting on doing it right.
Right.
We got there. We still have a little more to do. We still got a pool that we're working on. But the dry side opened up, and I think it really is testimony to the standards that this council has set for the construction that needed to achieve.
I went in, it makes you proud to be in Oskaloosa. I mean, that building is spectacular. It really is.
I'm a member there, so everybody knows I'm there 3-4 days a week. So they will give tours. I've toured with Kate. I toured with the Golden Goose Girls. I've toured with Katie. Stop in there. They'll take anybody. Just give them a holler. It is coming from the building that we just came from. It is such a nice workout facility. My body pump class. It is just a joy to be in there. It is very nice.
And I was going to say too, I always loved the Y. I mean, I met Rhonda. It was one of the first friendly moments I had in town. It's always been the people at the Y first, but now we've got the building, so it's the best of both.
You bet.
And I think membership fee is waived this month,
Right.
if I saw the sign correctly.
Right.
So I signed my husband up. Like,
That he's happy.
oh, he loves me.
Just one more thing. I hope it's okay for me to say this, Sean, about Friday, the Thriving Communities. Sean, before he went on vacation, submitted an application to the state for Oskaloosa to be a thriving community, to get that designation. Not sure of what all the details of that are, but our application was accepted and Oskaloosa is named a finalist as a thriving community in the state of Iowa. And there's a group going to Des Moines on Friday this week to present the city for that award. So I think just the fact that we received that nomination, kudos to Sean for putting that together, because there's a lot of information that you included in that application. So thank you for doing that, but also kudos to the city and this community, because obviously we're doing something right to be recognized as a finalist from the state.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll come back to the next meeting and we will have that designation.
Pizza, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the pizza.
And one last thing too, we are holding office hours, which, and that I used to have to tell my college students, office hours are a good thing, okay? It's not like when you're in high school, right? When you get sent to the office and that. So Bob and I will be at the library. So if you know of anybody who, on Thursday, who just wants to,
5 to 7,
yeah,
right?
and just wants to come and talk a little bit one-on-one. Sometimes this kind of arena can be a bit intimidating. It shouldn't be, but it can be. So, but let us know.
And likewise on Saturdays from 10 to noon.
Yeah.
We have that going on as well. So, Okay. Any other? Thinking, one more thing. Any more one more things? Okay. Last item up then, or next thing is the opportunity for a closed session. This is to consider holding a closed session under Iowa Code Section 21.5.1.c to discuss strategy with legal counsel on a matter that's currently or presently in litigation or in which litigation is imminent, where disclosure would likely prejudice or disadvantage the city's position. So, acting pursuant to the requirements of the Iowa Public Information Board, I, Mayor Dave Kreutzfeld, state and indicate that the closed session to follow is to discuss strategy in a pending matter with legal counsel for the city of Oskaloosa, Iowa, acting pursuant to a contract existing between the parties. Do we have a motion of support for this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion, roll call.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yep.
Calgery?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go into closed session. Amal? We are back in open session after having spent an hour and 15 minutes talking about it in closed session. There is no action to be taken by the council. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you, man.